We're on chapter 33, and a quick recap of the marches of the Israelites from the time of the first slaughter in Egypt. Every firstborn, the Lord passed judgment. Judgment means killing, genocide, plunder of resources and stealing of land. Then they wandered around bitching and complaining, being beaten, killed, and driven like frightened cattle with no modern conveniences. From the bloodbath and plundering of Egypt onto Succoth, camping there. Then when the land was covered in shit and piss, they went to shit, piss, fuck at Etham. Went by Pihaniroth and stopped at Migdol to eat and shit, ate more manna. To the next place, then the sea of somewhere else in the next place, and landed in the wilderness of sin. Not forgetting, of course, they stayed at a place with 12 springs and 70 palm trees. And for a few million people and several million animals, 70 fucking palm trees are about as helpful as a Bible to an elephant. But hey, don't fucking question goddamn holy books. Christ knows they'll fucking crucify you if you are so reckless. At Alush, they had no water to drink. Oh well. So after a few hundred children, old people, and animals diet, they went somewhere else to eat and shit manna. If you want all the names, check the original. As I said, my favorite translation before this one was, sort of still is, Tanaka, the Holy Scriptures. The new JPS translation according to the traditional Hebrew text. But other than a few details of names and numbers, it won't tell you nothing I, your humble narrator, didn't. Aaron died with the Lord's command, a sword, on Mount Hor, 14th year in the 40th year. Moses was also scheduled to die at the Lord's command, new sword. 40 fucking years dictating brutal tyranny to the unruly, ignorant horde, and the Lord don't let him into the promised land on a technicality call? Killing of kings by the kings who succeed, or as the Torah calls them, lords, was traditional. Kill the king and all of his family was the most common method. All possible competition murdered, just to be on the safe side. Read the story of King David and how he had King Saul and his family slaughtered. Even grandchildren were later impaled for the grain god. Read the plays of Shakespeare. The Canaanite king of Arad heard about the hordes of murdering plunderers on the move, so they, the army, also moved from place to place in much less than 40 years. So to get down to the Jordan, where the shit had already clogged up the fan and would stay that way forever, because the Lord loves hate. The Lord said to Moses, kill every last motherfucking one of them Canaanites, smash and burn all their idols and cultural symbols. If you don't wipe them from the face of the earth forever, they will haunt you and poison your souls, corrupt your lives, rape your children, disobey my laws, and masturbate on the Sabbath. And I will be so pissed off I may turn the whole fucking planet into a toxic wasteland of radiation void of all life. Because I'm the fucking mighty Lord and will do as I please. You want me to spare you? Down on your knees, motherfuckers. Verse 55. But if you do not dispossess the inhabitants of the land, those who you allow to remain shall be stings in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they shall harass you in the land in which you live, so that I will do to you what I plan to do to them. This is the Dark Ages school of thought. Kill or be killed. The Enlightened Age, the one that has just become morning after the bloody dawn, will be live in peace, for there is no enemy among you. There are dangers on and beyond the planet that we will overcome together. For so it has been written. And of course, anything that's written is holy. There were a couple of points in my... the reason I can't read is because I'm not a very good reader. Oh, I wanted to mention David. A lot of people think that King David was nice. King David was not nice. He was taken away from his parents when he was 1 year old, I believe was the story. And he was raised by the priest to be a murdering tyrant. And the first thing he did when he was old enough to become king was to have Saul and his family killed. And then he killed those who killed him to make it look like he didn't want them killed. But he stepped right in there to become the king. And then later he had the grandchildren stuck on stakes to be a offering to the grain god. Now, if that isn't bloody paganism. And then he murdered tens of thousands. People say, well, it was war. No, it wasn't war. It was plunder. But we're not going to talk about King David. There was one other... but we should mention this. A lot of people think these are holy wars. It doesn't matter what you call them. They're still war. And war is a business. There is nothing godly about it. There is no God that says go to war. There is no God. We are the closest thing to God. And we've got a long way to go before we can become godly. But if cleanliness is close to godliness, you should see my shelf here. Never mind, that's too personal. But it is clean. What else did we want to mention? Oh, one other thing was, and the reason they killed every last motherfucking one of them when they invaded the land and stole the land and everything they had was because they didn't want any of their philosophies to be poisoning their one god, megalomaniac, insanity, paranoid religion. And it's no justification. I'm sorry, but this was bloody, bloody horror. And it still is. If you go into a country, kill everybody, take the resources and move in on the land, then it is bloody murder. You can call it war if you want to, but war is bloody murder, okay? There is nothing... The difference between war and murdering somebody is nothing, okay? If you're murdering somebody, it's murder.